Yo, we live on location. We came all the way out to La La Land, man. We had to come out here because this is some legendary-ish that's going on. We had to pull up on the legendary one, UNC Chapel Zone.
What's his name?
One of the four founders of championships and one of the Lakers forever.
What's
Y'all can check him out. This big game James in the building. You gotta pull up to Hollywood to come see the big game James. And look, man, he blessed us today, man. I ain't have my goggles, but listen, y'all tap in. This is greatness right here. Championships, MVPs, and
pleasure,
look,
baby.
this is greatness. The Lake Show in the building.
Man, first off, OG, I'd like to thank you for coming and rocking with us. Man, you part of our history, part of our memory. You one of the reasons that we play this game.
It's a pleasure, man, to have this communication with some younger OGs.
When you first got to the league, who was the first person to bust your ass?
First person to bust my ass was Alex English.
Alex English.
Okay.
In Denver.
Don't fall asleep on some of the old OGs. And then after that, it was a brother named Purvis Short.
Purvis Short.
A little step back.
Yeah.
But Alex English, playing up in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little advantage because, as you guys know, the first 4 or 5 minutes, you just playing catch up. But he moved without the ball. They had a passing game, and he released the ball on the way up. It was weird. You couldn't stop him when they got hot. So Alex English, I think he dropped maybe 40. And then the Iceman was the Iceman was just the flip. He really meant it when he said everybody can dunk.
Everybody can't roll.
Everybody can't. And he wouldn't say finger, he'd say fanger. Everybody can't finger roll, man. He'd give it to you, boy.
North Carolina. You grew up in North Carolina.
Gastonia.
Could it be anybody else? Was it almost anybody else except for the Tar Heels?
Not really. I went to basketball camp in the 9th grade, and I was in love with, North Carolina and Dean Smith.
Was it UNC basketball camp?
Yeah, it was the first one I ever went to. I was just old enough, like maybe 9 years old, to remember Charlie Scott coming to UNC. He was the first black to come to the ACC.
Right.
And Dean Smith caught hell for that. Yeah. Down south, and it had never happened before. They hated that, man. Yeah. And so that always grew on me as I got older, So I fell in love with North Carolina and Phil Ford, Walter Davis, and some other guys.
Shout out Phil.
Yeah. So, so that was it. But Dominique Wilkins was also from North Carolina, right? Yeah. So I think had he chosen to go to North Carolina, I was going to go to UCLA because a country boy had a visit to California, never been to California, blew me away. You know what I mean?
Them banners, the championship.
Oh man, the banners,
the weather,
Yeah. Here's a country boy never seen anything. Like
them palm trees hit different, didn't they?
Yeah, the palm trees. The diversity and ladies all over the place, man. Yeah. I was like, it was crazy. I also visited Michigan State. I knew I wasn't going there, but I had to meet Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Because back in 79, 80, 81, you never heard of a 6'10" point guard. So you had those visits.
How was that when you went there and got to meet Magic?
Man, I had to meet him. And he picked me up in a deuce and a quarter, man, at the airport. Electric 225, man.
Straight up.
He had a big old afro.
Young folks don't know what that means right there. That's all right, though.
He had a big old afro. And he was, at that moment, I was like, I don't know what he's going to do. He'll probably be a great basketball player. But I thought he was going to be like the next Don Cornelius or something. He had it. You just knew he had something. As soon as you got in the car, he was leaning over like this, man. I thought I was his date for a second. And he was like, yeah, you come here next year. Me, you, Javis. I say, Magic, I already heard you getting up out of here after this shit, man. I just wanted to come spend the weekend with you.
Right.
But yeah, North Carolina was it though. Dean Smith and Phil Ford was a big favorite. So yeah, that's where I had my mind about 98% coming out of high school.
So was it the North Carolina guys that gave you the vision of them the first guys you seen that be like, man, I wanna play basketball. I wanna do that. Who who gave you the vision, or who you seen that was like, man, I want to play basketball?
It was my older brothers used to have to babysit. So going around with them, my older brother was my first coach, but I was a skinny kid. I didn't like sports. It wasn't when I was small. It was probably when I started to watch. Back then, it was the Baltimore Bullets, okay? And they had a brother named Bob Dandridge. Bob Dandridge, man. Bob Dandridge had that 10-foot range game, man. He could shoot. Yeah. And so I was young. I was like 11, 12, and I was growing, you know, and I was a sorry-ass football player. Baseball, I was just, but basketball, I wasn't really good, but I loved it, you know what I mean? So I started watching the Baltimore Bullets, and they had Wes Unseld, you know, guys like that, and that's kind of when I started to fall in love with the game. You know, I didn't know anything about, you know, professional or whether I was going to play in college. And then I found out about a scholarship one day at the boys club. I was hanging out, and Mr. Perry was talking to some older guys. I was like 12, and these other guys were like 16, 17. So he was talking to them about scholarships.
And going to college.
You know, you can get a football scholarship. I was like, you know, I'm a okay student, but I'm not smart enough to get no, you know, but he's talking about an athletic scholarship. Right. I never heard no athletic scholarship.
Yeah.
So that motivated me right there. So from there, I just, you know, did the work with the camps. Yeah. You know, played the game like we all did, you know, make a few sacrifices here and there. And that's why we're sitting here at the table.
In high school, when did you know that you was elite? Like when it was like junior year, when you know you was elite, and
like one of
you
the
know
best.
They was mentioning your name with other names around the country.
Yeah. Yeah, it was back then. It was the McDonald's All-American parade, all that. You remember that?
Yeah.
You know, I was 6'8" in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
What?
I was 6'8" in the 8th grade. I was almost about the height I am now. I grew like 1 inch after that. So when you start getting like letters, you start blowing your mind. You know, you know. Oh man, I got a letter from Indiana, and then you know, in high school we got the chance to play DeMatha High School, which we would never.
DC,
exactly. We would never had Wittenberg and Lowe and some other good players. You know, and so because our high school was ranked in the top 25, but we would have never gotten to play them. You know, if it wasn't all the noise around All America being there. So. You know, I guess it was around the 10th grade. I knew I had something, because you know when you start getting those letters, you start freaking out. You know, you're like 15.
So wait a minute. Like, at what point did you hit the growth spurt to be 6'8" in 8th grade? Like, was it 7th, 6th grade? Like, was it like over a summer, or was it 2 years and you went from like 6 feet to 6'8"?
It was a summer from transitioning from the 7th grade to the 8th grade. I was like 6'1", because I grew from 6th grade to the 7th grade a few inches. Then from 7th grade to 8th grade, there was like maybe 5 inches that came.
What did your parents do? Like, what did they say about clothes and everything?
Hey, man.
Like,
shoes and everything.
I was asking my dad for a pair of shoes like every 2-3 weeks, to the point where he went out and bought a lawnmower, and he said, "Boy, there your shoes are right there." You know, I turned into a little entrepreneur, man. Yeah. But yeah, I was growing out of clothes. I was eating everything. You know, same thing you guys, eating everything in the house, you know. Awkward moments, and you know, when you're tall and, you know, everybody looking at you like, you know, but it was an experience, man. I'm not, you know, it shaped who you are.
Now you wearing that Tar Heel blue, and Dean Smith is your coach, and you know, you got all these guys that you playing with. How was it when you first got on campus and you got to playing for Dean Smith, and just seeing his philosophy and, you know, just how he structured y'all to play?
Dean was different. He was, you know, he was by the book. People don't believe me when I say that, but he wasn't. He wasn't. You know, there wasn't no money involved. You know, he gave Michael Jordan the science and the theory of the game that he needed, and so that's what you walked into. Everybody was treated the same, from the towel boy to anybody. You know, he believed on being on time. Didn't allow you to swear. Mm-hmm. He didn't swear. It was he was old school discipline, and you know, if you were willing to lay your ego down and create that team, he really taught you how to be a team person.
Yeah.
And and really prepare you to be a citizen. He used his platform as a basketball coach to kind of lift you up. And the way you can tell, you got the Sam Perkins and the MJs and me and the Vince Carters and all them brothers. But then you look at some of the brothers that didn't make it. They doing okay,
exactly.
Because he kind of said, okay.
Bring them back to the program.
He kind of prepped you for get ready for life.
For life.
And, so yeah, I always appreciated that about Coach Smith. And he was always conscious away from the court. He fought for a lot of different things, which made him, much respected from the players who played for him, and then people outside the program as well.
When did you first start wearing the goggles, and when did you get comfortable with wearing?
That went to the NBA, right?
The goggles.
Yeah, I got an eye injury one time in college, right?
Yeah,
got a thing in the eye, blurry for a couple of days. Didn't think nothing of it when you're young, but I got another one in '84. I believe 83, 84, I think, and that one was bad. It was like somebody's half a finger went up in the socket. I was out for like 2 weeks with a patch on my eye, right? So when I came back after being out a week or so, I used to go through the hole real strong, and I was going, and then I would get to the contact area where the guards start reaching.
Down.
I would get there, and I would ease up a little bit and shoot some bullshit, some floater. And on the other side of the block was Kareem, who also wore goggles. And he saw it, and he knew exactly what I was experiencing because he had experienced the eye injuries, So he said, yeah, I know you're thinking about getting hit again. And I was. And he said, put the goggles on and, you'll be protected. And that's why I wear them. And so I started wearing them. And, they fog up a little bit. You have to take them off and wipe them off all the time until our trainers poke some holes in them, drill some holes in them to let them kind of defog. Then I really got used to them to the point where I couldn't play without them. But it was Kareem who turned me on. And, I did get hit again. I didn't get hit in the eye. I just lost some skin,
from
the goggles because they were, old plastic.
Yeah.
Now they're modern.
They're so much better now.
Oh yeah, of course.
You played in the third ever McDonald's game.
Yeah.
And you had like you said, you had Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Byron Scott, Ralph Sampson. How was that like? What was that like to be, honored like that and to playing a game like that? And then, what was it like for you? Was that your first time seeing all of those different guys playing against them or playing with them? Yeah,
because I never really went to too many camps. Like there was a lot of camps around. I pretty much stayed in the state. But McDonald's, they bought the best.
Right.
So that was, when you think about it, the names you mentioned, there's some,
That's crazy.
Dominique's Hall of Famer, Isaiah's a Hall of Famer, Sam Bowie was in that class. Like you said, Ralph Sampson. There were some other guys like Paxson, John Paxson was in there. So it was, when with the first time you leave your little small town.
Yeah, right.
And you go somewhere like Washington, D.C., and all the
whole nation on looking at this joint.
If you're from the city, New York, you're used to that.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I had a little bit of anxiety, in the warm-up line, it was like so Isaiah, it was like the guys were good too,
Right.
And so once you get over the jitters, you always feel like you got something to prove. But it's cool to be amongst the best. And some great relationships with developed because Byron Scott and I talk about it all the time.
Right.
Now, you remember we were staying in the Hyatt Hotel in DC, blah blah. So it's like relationships that you build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You a bucket getter. Like when did you like? I know in high school, like but when you go to different levels, you dominated the championship game against Georgetown, but. When did you solidify in the world? You felt the world knew that you was like a real bucket getter.
I think it was maybe the Georgetown game or that season. I broke my ankle my freshman year and didn't get to play in the tournament.
Yeah,
came back with pins in my ankle my sophomore year, a little bit overweight, couldn't move, had arthritis, Achilles, tendonitis. But in my junior year, I was healthy. And we had Big Sam Perkins.
Sammy Perkins.
Michael Jordan was a freshman,
Right.
coming along with the science of the game. And it was my turn, in college. A senior will graduate. It's your time, right? It's your time.
Come on.
Yeah, it's my
Junior
time.
senior, yeah.
I wasn't a senior yet, but I knew I was the guy that could, score along with Sam. So during that Georgetown series, man, we lost to Indiana the year before. Dean Smith had never won NCAA championship. He had been to the Final Four probably more than anybody, but he never won. So, man, we were tired of that. So we lost to Indiana in '81. Got back to campus. Our captain Jimmy Black from the Bronx. He said, "Man, we got to take responsibility and win." For Coach Smith, he's done all he can do. It's up to us now. And so we were motivated, and I knew I had to step it up. Yeah. So, Sleepy Floyd is the only reason I haven't won a championship. I never won
at every level.
In
That's
high
why
school.
I was going to ask you about that.
In high school.
So that he messed up at every
school.
level. He messed it up.
He got me
one of the few guys that got it at every single level because he got you in high school.
He got me in high school. So I also had revenge on my mind.
How much did you relish in that when you got up in the NCAA?
I was like, we're from the same town.
Right.
Yeah. We go to the same church sometime.
That's crazy.
Play at the same, rec centers. This was bragging rights. I could picture all my homeboys in the barbershop at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to get him.
And it was some get back.
But they had Patrick Ewing.
Yeah,
big Pat.
A freshman. He was a monster.
He protected that
his
goal,
freshman
too.
year. He was a monster, even as a freshman. When you're a freshman, you don't really know what you're doing. You just wild,
So he came in ready to go.
Tasmanian devil. And they had like 8 deep. We had like 5. So it was a struggle. But I knew there was nobody. Sam could get some buckets, and MJ was elevating.
Yeah.
He was elevating. He had some big buckets in that game. But as a freshman, when you're a junior, you always think as a freshman.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to keep us close. That was the only thing I was thinking. I said, I got to keep us close enough that we can have a chance at the end. So I was like, let's go.
What was your first impression of Mike when he came in as a freshman? What was your first impression when you seen him? And he played.
Michael Jordan was, he wasn't arrogant, but man, was he confident. He was confident, right? Like he came in talking. Like he came in like, just talking crap all the time. Like after practice, you know how the college practices are, when they're over, you ready to get off the court and get on back. And so I would be walking off the court after about 2.5 hours of practice, and here comes Michael, a freshman, bullying me, pushing me back on the court. Where you going, young fella? Calling me young fella. Where you going? Let's play. Let's play a game to 5. Because he always wanted to measure
where he was
who against the best. And at the time, I was the best. I don't know if you guys saw his documentary.
No, we did.
The Last Dance. I made a statement. I said, I was better than Michael Jordan.
Definitely.
For about 3 weeks.
I remember that.
And so, he hated to lose. The brother it would be a game of backgammon. If he lost,
shout out to backgammon. I played that with my mama growing up. Real talk.
You got to bring it back sometime, man.
You hear me?
You got to bring it back like war and Uno and all that kind of stuff.
That real talk playing with my mama.
But he was a winner. He was a winner. He hated to lose, and he was overly competitive. Whether it was on the basketball court or whether it was in the dorm talking shit, it didn't matter. He was competitive in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. Was that championship game what solidified you? Like, yeah, I'm not going to go my senior year. I'm going to go pro. Like, I done did this against Georgetown. Like, we won the championship. I'm the best player on the team. Like, did that give you some confidence to be like, yeah, it's time for me to go?
It did. It was perfect timing.
Yeah.
To have an NCAA playoffs like I did, for a few weeks. But the reason that I was able to leave was because Ralph Sampson decided to stay his senior year at Virginia. Because if Ralph had come out, he would have been the number 1 pick, hands down.
Yeah.
And the Lakers had that pick.
Ralph Sampson with Kareem?
With Magic and Kareem and
they cheated, man.
I know. It'd be like
cheating with Elijah Wan and Ralph.
Right. It'd be like, anybody get to play with that. But and the Lakers had made a trade like in 1976 to Cleveland. And Cleveland, in return, gave the Lakers
the pick.
Because the Lakers had won 2 out of 3 championships. Yeah. They had just won a championship the year they drafted me. Right. But they had that pick because Cleveland fell straight to the bottom. So Ralph decided to stay in school. The Lakers didn't need a prolific scorer like Dominique. They had Kareem, Jamal Wilkes. They had Magic. They had Norm Nixon.
Yeah.
Terry Cummins.
Showtime.
Yeah, Showtime.
Boys Net 10.
I called him Pastor C.
Pastor C.
TC.
He was probably a better overall player than me. Definitely a better rebound. Stronger. Rugged.
Strong.
He had that little 15-footer where he couldn't fill the lanes. Like, he
couldn't run.
Yes. So they were looking for, and they were looking for somebody like, usually when you're the number 1 draft pick, you go into the worst team. You the man. You get a chance to drop 25, 30. Yeah. Being a Dean Smith guy, they wanted somebody that would be cool, not starting, understand the system, wait his turn, blah, blah, blah. And, so I was like, cool.
You the perfect storm.
I was cool with that. But I also walked in to camp with a lot of confidence, right? So I walk in the gymnasium, I'm looking around, I'm looking for a spot. Because I'm thinking, shit, I can start, for this team. So I see Kareem, I see Magic, I see Jamal Wilkes, who still got it, Norm Nixon, and then I see Kurt Rambis. And Kurt Rambis got these thick glasses on with duct tape. He got all these apparatuses on his elbow to keep, he smelled like Ben Gay and shit, can't jump, he's slow. I'm like, I'm gonna get that spot. In my mind, I'm like, I'm getting that fucking spot right there. So within like 15, 20 minutes of practice, when we started scrimmaging, Kurt Rambis showed me what a real power forward was in the NBA, like an NBA power forward. It wasn't nothing like a college power forward.
Wasn't no cakewalk.
And then I thought about it. Damn, there's Kurt. Then there's Maurice Lucas. Then there's Lonnie Shelton. I started naming all these power forwards. I was like, man, I got to sit my ass over here
of them strong.
And wait for, because I wasn't equipped. You find that a lot. You might size down. But yeah, it was different. But I fit in pretty good. Bob McAdoo was on the bench.
Shout out to McAdoo. That was my coach in Miami.
Yeah.
Listen, Bob will still shoot your fucking face off right now. And he ain't gonna celebrate with the Usain Bolt.
and he'll let you know it.
He ain't gonna stop talking. He ain't gonna stop talking.
He's one of my mentors, man. Bobby. We call him Bobby 9.
To see these guys winning championships, before you get there, and to come in and like Kareem is on the team. Like Kareem is like the god, the number 1 guy. Like for you to be going, and it's already the Magic show, but Kareem, because a lot of guys don't really give Kareem his props the way they should. But for me, Kareem, he's the first.
I was a kid, man, watching, because we didn't get a lot of West Coast games on the South, but every now and then,
they'll show one.
Those of you might remember the Wide World of Sports.
Wide World of Sports.
They might show a UCLA game.
Yeah.
And you might see, I remember seeing Kareem when I was maybe in 7th, 8th grade when he was at UCLA. Couldn't play varsity, had to play JV his freshman year. They didn't allow freshmen to play varsity. And the intramural game, the JV team beat the varsity team. And that's when they quit that. They stopped that. I heard Charles Barkley say, LeBron getting ready to break Kareem's record. Yeah. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was saying that Kareem was forced to stay in school for 4 years.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Exactly.
You could imagine if Kareem could have come out
in
high school. He might be 10, 15,000 points more.
Because he could have went straight out of high school.
Not at the time. I think it was.
No, I'm just saying he was good enough.
Yeah, he was good enough.
That he could have went straight out of high school. He was good enough.
Yeah. You know, could he have come out? It just wasn't
even
popular.
Still, he probably would have came out early, and even if he didn't go straight out of high school, he could have left UCLA early.
Yeah, it was. It was Spencer Haywood who.
Spencer Haywood, the one
whose case went to the Supreme Court. But a lot of people haven't seen his full body of work.
Yeah,
like in college, he was. It was just unstoppable.
Dominant.
And then his first 12 years in the NBA, I mean, it was just poetry to his body of work. I mean, he played, he went through Wilt Chamberlain, Wes Unseld, Nate Thurman, and then he got the younger, generation and ate them up early. Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon. Then Hakeem Olajuwon obviously came on, but and then his consciousness, there's a photo, you've seen it with he and Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and Kareem, at 7 feet, only child at a Catholic school. He's probably one of the most misunderstood people, and he's recognized that. Mm-hmm. He's recognized his, and reconciled with that. So he's one of my favorite people.
Yeah,
he's a jazz connoisseur. If you want to talk about basketball, he might not give you much, but if you bring up history or jazz or anything that, like, he's really a novelist, and that's why he's getting all these activist awards for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, he was a great player, unstoppable. When people say who's the greatest player, for a while I always say Kareem because I've seen his body of work. But when you think about what LeBron and Michael, you can argue.
Yeah,
that
you've seen a lot of basketball.
Yeah, these young guys, man.
To see that jump hook, because not a jump hook, to see the hook. I hate to call it a jump hook. To see the sky hook in live and in action, like this is a shot that nobody else in the history has done, and this is probably the number one deadliest
still to this
shot
day,
that
the most unstoppable
that nobody does, and the number one player ever, our first GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to do this shot. To see it in person, how is it? Because he went in games with this at center.
It was he was going to go to it, but you couldn't stop it. Now, I was on the other block.
Yeah.
So I was like, sometimes I would forget I was in the game. I'd just be watching it. He practiced it since high school, I think, because you couldn't dunk. You couldn't dunk until 1976. So he never dunked in college. So he developed.
So he never dunked in college.
Never dunked in college. David Thompson never dunked in college.
That's crazy. How high David Thompson?
Top of the backboard. But, it was more to it. That's why no one has ever used it, because it was more than just roll it in there. It was so much technique to that shot.
Mm-hmm. At the top of his peak, it
was pretty.
His footwork, his pivoting, and his shoulders would really square up to the point he was shooting. And his eye contact, he would catch it, and he would look the defense off, and he could drop dimes. If you look at, his record, he was a dime dropper.
Right.
If you're cutting, but he used his eyes, and then he would drop his foot at the same time, and before you knew it, and the one thing that protected it is when he came through, if you wanted your face to be reconstructed, you just stay in there.
Right there.
He came with it, and it was just, you couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And he could jump off of that one leg. But it was more to it. Like a triple jumper in track, there's like a technique to it.
Yeah.
And there was more to it than just catching it and rolling it. Most guys catch it and they think they can just roll in there. No, you got to create space by making sure that defense don't hit you quick enough. Keep them, pause for just a second. And then, when you knew it was coming, I remember Robert Parrish and the Celtics, they were just loading up on that right-hand hook because he was killing them the whole game. And so, maybe once or twice a month, he would set you up, and then he would just drop step with a lazy left. He never really drop step, but he knew when to do it. Yeah. Really one of the smartest people that I've ever met.
Tell me this: how did you feel when you got drafted? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, once you declare and you go through all that and you forego your senior year and you about to go, like, what did it feel like to hear your name called and you, like you said, you
be the first overall pick.
Because of the, they traded that pick, but they dropped that, it became the #1 pick. Like, how does it feel to know you going to the championship Showtime Lakers with Magic, who you had just met on the visit, and Reem sitting there? You got the captain waiting on you. Like,
it's crazy.
What was that like? What was your thought process? Because that's never happens. The #1 pick going to the championship team.
It's crazy. When you get drafted, for a moment, it feels like they call you out for the most valuable player. You know what I mean? You've been used to that little routine,
right?
So it happens. You talk to the press a little bit, but then it's not till you get home. Your family. And then it might be later on at night when you finally settle down, and then you just you. You know what I mean? Then you think about, when you first started playing, you think about it, just your whole shit just runs through you.
Right.
And then you start thinking about, all I wanted was a college scholarship. So my mom and dad I had 2 older brothers, so they were working hard to put them through some small black colleges. And so they worked all the time, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm gonna get a scholarship. So that's all I wanted.
Right.
That's all I ever wanted. But when you're sitting there, lying there, then you're like, I'm about to make some paper. A lot of stuff started coming to your mind. If you poor,
I got a job.
If you grow up, you're not much. And I always thought we had enough. We didn't have, anything. But my mom and dad was home. We always had some biscuits and molasses or something. And so, but then
biscuits and molasses.
It just run through you. It just run through you. Maybe I can buy my mom a house. You start thinking about stuff. And so, and then you feel like it's your God got his hand on you for a second.
Yes, sir.
The blessing, and then you go from there.
When did you start getting the niche with Mac? You start getting the connection that you had when you kind of figured out, like, all right, I know my spots now. The team is confident in me. They looking for me to score more buckets now. Yeah. I know every time Magic get it to him, let me feel the lane to get it right back. I know where I get my shots at. I know where I can succeed at. When did that start? You start feeling yourself in that?
My rookie year around
that chemistry came
around
right away?
February. No, it didn't come right away, because I'm coming from college. These brothers been playing together and winning championships for, 5-6 years. And it's basketball, but it's a different,
you gotta prove yourself.
It's different, and the game it's changed a little bit since then, but you have to get used to, like, for me, like, my body had never played more than 33 games.
Right, them 82.
So you come into the NBA thinking, ain't no way it's gonna be harder than what Coach Smith done put us through. 17 suicide curfews, all this shit. But it is hard, man.
Like
you come in here. And I don't care how many 4 seasons of Ritz Carlton you stay in, it gets old quickly. You realize, then you're sitting there with, you're sitting there with yourself, and then what you gonna do now? You done made it, but then you still got the rest of your life. But I realized around February that I was clicking with Magic. I realized that, because I always wanted to show my speed, and I would get out on that break.
You just roll.
And all of a sudden, that ball would pop. Bam! He said, you got to look up. So you got to know, because he could get you from 15 feet, he could get you from 70 feet. So you learn how to calculate, him running. Because sometimes you just couldn't run as fast as you could. You had to kind of pace yourself with him.
Yeah.
So with the defense react, he could. He was the best.
Can't outrun him.
Was it also part of the?
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's what I had to learn when I got to the league.
Right.
I had to slow. I was instantly hitting the
fifth gear,
the lane, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
But I used to have to go and get out there, but then about half court, kind of slow down and let it all catch up.
You do.
Because
you have to let the defense do what it's going to do to the ball, and then you got your slashes, you got your
lanes,
gaps, you got your things. But if you get out there, man, I used to be, down there so quickly, there wouldn't be nothing to do.
Yeah. I want to know, do you think it took a little longer because you came from North Carolina where everything was so fundamental, but then you got there and you got Magic, like you said, it's coming from wherever. It's coming however.
And we running. We ain't stopping.
It's not necessarily because I played for Coach Brown, Larry Brown. I know he's everything was run with. It's not a whole lot. He didn't want to see a lot. Like you said, not a lot of boogie. He want to see straight line drives. It ain't got to be all this. And would you say that's where you kind of develop like your Statue of Liberty and your finger roll, because everything was always quick, straight through. One of the things that sticks out to me when I think about Coach Brown is he would always tell us to run with, run through it, lay it up and go, that's kind of like what you are a figure of, like the dunk. Even with the Statue of Liberty, it's a dunk, straight hand dunk.
Yes, sir.
It's a layup, straight hand
and
layup.
out.
Like, you think is that where that kind of developed?
It did, because the only person that ever held Michael Jordan to 14 points was Coach Smith.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah,
so he had a system. We didn't have a 24-second shot clock, and we were still running 4 corners at the time where we stalled the ball. If you didn't want to come out of that zone, Ralph Sampson used to sit back in that zone. We had a score like 20-7 one time at halftime. It was boring. But coming to LA gave me a chance to just burst out of my bubble. I always wanted to run and dunk, and from watching, Dr. J and some of the NBA players, the way the ABA at the time was still getting their groove on. So coming to LA really just enhanced all of that. I was happy that we weren't going to be setting up a lot.
Yeah.
Of course, we had the skyhook and we had some other
It was more in tune with your game, though.
It elevated my game. Yeah. Something I've been wanting to do. My high school coach was very conservative. High, low, set, 3 passes and all this crap. But Magic changed the whole. He changed the whole dynamic, of the way the NBA started to flow and the pace of the game.
We ain't seen back-to-back champions since the Celtics. I think early 70s.
Right.
Them 2 seasons, like, can you just explain them 2 seasons of y'all going back-to-back and going back to the championship that third year?
Yeah. Well, the Lakers had already succeeded. They won in 80 when Magic first came, right. 82, 84, 85. So they were used to winning, and the Celtics were the last team to win back-to-back. And it hadn't been done in like 19 or 20 years. So when we won in 87, we were having like a parade, a pre-media thing. And Pat Riley stood up there, and we're all hungover, and ready to go on vacation and celebrate and at least take a month. And, when you win a championship, you just get fat. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And he stood up there and he said, and next year, I'm guaranteeing that we'll do it again.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like,
the crowd went crazy, and y'all said, "Goddamn,
what did he just say?" Because that's an automatic target on your back.
Yeah,
especially.
But we knew that we had to do it because we had done all the we won a few, and that was a big challenge. And he knew exactly what he was doing because he wanted to see
how y'all gonna respond.
If the greatness, it was the greatness there or not,
Motivation.
And it motivated us, We usually take a month and a half off. Guys took 2 weeks off. We was calling each other. Let's meet at the track. We started running the track. 200s, full. We started because we know it was going to be a track race.
Yeah,
and it wasn't easy getting out of the, because look, Karl Malone and Stockton was starting to emerge. And Mark Aguirre and they got Redondo Blackman down in Dallas. It was tough getting out of here.
Yeah.
But that motivated us. I don't know if he hadn't said that. I don't. Yeah, Portland.
Yeah,
Buck Williams. Those guys. It wasn't easy, but he knew he had to do something because he was actually not that he was running out of motivational speeches, but he was getting close.
Yeah,
and he had to do something different, and that did it for us, man.
How was this though? Because I seen the other day that y'all had a practice that y'all ain't practiced together. That team ain't practiced together in like 25 years.
That's what you call it, a practice?
It looked good
They
to
said
me.
it was a walkthrough, like a real life walkthrough. I saw
see y'all don't stand on the court. I don't even care if a ball just threw around, but just to see that team, them faces, all you guys alive and well, and you know what I'm saying, and looking good. Man, how was that to just be in that gym with just everybody?
Yeah.
The old crew back together.
You guys been out how long?
Oh, I've been out 13 years now.
See, you know the relationships that you develop.
Yeah.
On the teams or the teams that you played on. But when you win together, it's special, you know. And you know, Pat Riley was good at creating, you know, good camaraderie. You know, you had to be able to take some constructive criticism. But you had to. You gonna call it that.
We gonna call it that. You gonna go ahead and let it be that.
You had to be willing to like, you know, suck it up, and you know, for the team. But it was tough, man. But we got through it. You know, Riles was all about preparation. Then he had that damn video. Boy, that video machine. but yeah, man, that's we were a team. Yeah, we held together.
For y'all to get together and just be together, what's that? That was like 89 was the last. That's when Kareem retired in
89. We won in 87. 88, we beat Detroit.
And then y'all lost in 89.
And then we lost to Detroit in 89. That was Kareem's last year.
So y'all, that team haven't been together around in the same building together, take a photo together in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, some of us, like I see Magic from time to time.
I'm talking about, but it's different when you see somebody. But I'm talking about the whole group is together.
And you know, man, there were guys there that I didn't play with, like Spencer Haywood, and Jim Jones, and Brewer, and you know, and the guys that got us ready to play, like my boy Larry Spriggs, played at Howard. You know, he never got to play, but boy, he bust my ass in practice. Make sure. So those are the guys I used to hang with. You know, after the game, you got memories, and you know, you shared tears with these guys on the bus, man, about certain things in your life. You know, and so some of them you hadn't seen in 25, 30 years, but when you walk in that lobby.
Right back where we
and there's like, you know, 7'5" Chuck Nevitt, you know.
Crazy.
My man, Wes Matthews, you know, who's vital and keeping us, you know, keeping our spirits up, you know. And so you remember all that shit on the bus, you know, that brother you sit by on the plane, you know, you remember all that. The guy that lived across the hall from you in the hotel and what y'all went through, and you know, the conversations that you had and the trials and tribulations you went through, man. It just right there, all that energy. Bob McAdoo, my mentor from North Carolina, you know, and so it was special, man, that Magic and Pat Riley put that together. Yeah. You know, and I would advise, if you can do it, man, try to do it, man, because it's spiritual and it's growth. Yeah. You know, you see all these people and you have all these memories. Some guys you left, you know, you needed to reconcile something, and you see them, you be like, you know,
I miss
you know, yeah, man. You're like, man, it was bullshit. I can't believe we went through. You're like Kobe and Shaq went through their little thing. Then they realized. So, but yeah, man, I advise, it's like any like high school reunion, if you can do it, because NBA is just special fraternity, man. Yeah, it's unique.
You always want a nickname. You always, like, when you get in this league, you want a nickname. When was the first time you heard Big Game?
Man, it was during the playoffs, because my percentages always went up during the playoffs. So Chick Hearn, the voice of the Lakers since 1961 until he passed, he had all these isms, and he had a lot of them. You know, eggs are cooling, the lights are out in the refrigerators, Jello's jiggling, all this stuff. And so he recognized that my scoring average went up, shooting percentage was way up. And he was like, you know, after after any particular play, he might come up with something new.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it slam dunk, whatever. And then I made a play, and he's like, big game James, and it stuck. And it stuck. And then Pat O'Brien took it from, local, and he put it on national TV. Yeah, he's got a big bean. So that's it, man. My corporation is big game. I go through the airport. Yeah. That's what I get. Mm-hmm. And it tickles me pink, man. It's cool as shit, man.
So to see the kids and see the fans call you big game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that for you?
Especially the kids, because, now they got the smartphones, they got the cars, their grandparents done told them,
straight up. That's big
so
game.
It's cool. That's what I mean. I love it when I'm at the airport, and the guys that work at the airport, or the guy that might be shining shoes, he's like, big game. I'm like, all right. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that it, everybody got a nickname, whatever. Yeah. But that one's kind of sticks outside of Los Angeles, and it's cool. It's kind of cool.
How cool was it for you to go from, obviously winning the championship at UNC and then declaring being the overall #1 pick, but then you get there and in a couple years now, here you are, you part of the Showtime Lakers and y'all winning the championship. What that's a different type of top of the top. Like, what was that like, winning a championship with that team here in LA and being the creme de la creme of the league? What was that like?
It was tough, man. I mean, the first few years, my rookie year, I broke my leg in April, so I didn't really get to play in that year that Philly won, the 4-4-4 with Moses. I don't know if anybody could beat them that year. They were good. But then I came back my second year, and we lost to the Celtics in 1984, man. Mm-hmm. We won game 1, 13 seconds left. I make this errant pass. We should have had that one. That was still a nightmare to me. Mm. But then in 85, we redeemed ourselves. So I think that championship in 85 was the most important one, because the Lakers had never beaten the Celtics, ever. I think the Celtics beat them like 6 or 7 times. So that's when I kind of knew I had arrived, and I was making an impact.
When you heard you finna be 50th greatest players, like you was named as one of the 50th greatest players, with some of the names that you seen come before you that you looked up to, and some of your peers that you came up along the way and seen them grow too. Yeah. How was that, and them jackets and stuff, and that whole experience
Jeff Hamilton,
of that?
Shout out
we
Jeff
just seen the 75th anniversary, but I remember the first one.
Yeah.
That intrigued everybody.
Cleveland.
How cold is that?
Cleveland. Like, how was that for you?
Man, for somebody that only wanted a college scholarship, broke my ankle in college, broke my leg. You just never think about it. You want to win a championship now. You do think about that, even if you not playing a lot of minutes, your practice time, the contribution, you think about that. But top 50, and I know being a Laker and winning and being on that platform helped a little bit, but then I had to pull my weight at the end. Mm-hmm. But it's a trip. It's, because at the time I was like, well, like Bob McAdoo, not on that first 50. Mm-hmm. It's hard to choose that.
Definitely is.
There was a couple brothers I probably like. Adrian Dantley wasn't on there. I know AD. He came before me, but because of winning and maybe being a most valuable player in '88 and being on elevated with the Lakers all the time and being one of their 3 helped a lot, because there's a lot of memories there. But I just think about, man, you always go back to, like Coach Bird. You go back and you think about all them, they keep you out of trouble when you're getting ready to get in trouble. Or when you get in trouble, they pull you to the side. You think about all the stuff you could have done, you know what I mean? But you feel blessed, and you knew you did something right, So it's like it's like a book ending, you know what I mean? It makes you proud, you remember what your parents, taught you, and you try to live up to that the best you can. You think about a lot of things.
in my opinion, one of the biggest and long-living rivalries in sports is the Lakers and Celtics. Talk to me about being a part of that. Like you've like you say, you've won an MVP, you've did triple doubles and different things, and like just talk to me. And like even like it's like to me, I look at it as like it's so much of a rivalry. Even now, like me moving into retirement and working for the Magic, and like I watch you work for the Lakers. I watch you go back and forth with Cornbread Maxwell with the Celtics, and y'all are beyond playing days. Y'all are in the studios doing the same thing. Like, tell me about how true and tried that rivalry and how real it is with the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers.
It's real. It's real.
Cause I feel like we experience it every time. We get a little taste of it, whether Boston, it's like you say with you.
Boston's tough on everybody, but I grew up a Cedric Maxwell fan, one of my favorite people, man, when he played at UNCC Charlotte. Mm-hmm. So we're good buddies and we go back and forth. But the Laker-Celtic rivalry, it was unique and it was special because Boston had that platform for years. They were the Boston Celtics.
Right.
Nobody could beat them. And then, the ABA came along and Dr. J and all the players, all the brothers was going to the ABA and that red, white, and blue ball. And they were like, damn, So they merged, but the Celtics have always been that team. They beat the Lakers, I think, 7 times. Mm-hmm. Jerry West would never go back to Boston. When we played all those series, he would never go back. It was too painful. And, Bill Russell rub it in, too. Bill let him know. I got 10 rings and 1 on my toe. He got 11. But what made the Lakers-Celtic rivalry so unique was, and I think it happened with the 60s, but I think it really evolved when Magic and Bird came in.
Right.
Okay, so you got the Celtics, kind of a blue-collar city. Mm-hmm. The old style of basketball. They ran a little bit with Cousy and those guys and Bill Russell. I'm not going to say they didn't run, but not like when Magic came along. So you had that, you had Boston, you had a radical component, you had a racist city that was full of like hate and busing was a big thing, and then you had Magic on the West Coast. Sun is shining, you surfing. It was up and down the court. It was fast paced. Magic was doing stuff that was, dunking on people, alley-ooping, Koopa-looping, sky-hooking. You had Dr. Buss, who was, he knew what his brand was. It was Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And he was the first one to put floor seats on the floor. He was the first one to have like Laker girls. So people didn't want to accept it. Mm-hmm. And so that rivalry was like stirred up again. It went away for a while, but it was stirred up, and all that came up again. I actually was a JoJo White fan back in the day.
JoJo White.
Paul Siles.
St. Louis right there.
Yeah, Paul Siles. I used to pull for the Celtics. Sam Jones went to the same college my brother went to. I was a little younger, but that rivalry had a lot of components to it. Magic versus Bird. Black versus white kind of thing, history versus, we'd never beaten them. I remember playing 4 exhibition games. I think it was my rookie year. They were trying to stir that up because I only had Commissioner O'Brien for 1 year. Mm-hmm. And then Commissioner Stern came in and he's like, light bulbs went off. He said, I see something here. He got a huge television contract for the first time with CBS, and it was on. He had something he could promote, and we were in the playoffs a lot, and it was just, that's how that rivalry, jump-started itself up again. But it was tough going into Boston, man. There wasn't no air conditioning in there. No heat in the wintertime.
Talk about the cold showers after the game. How the showers would be cold. The showers was still going on when we got to the league.
Yeah, the showers were like, 6 feet tall max. You go into the hotel. We stayed at Copley Square. You tell the operator to, you didn't want any calls. They would just keep them coming. And fans, you know, it was bad. You know, it was they were some bad fans. You hear all kind of stuff. And, you know, we had the option in the old Boston Garden. Did you guys play in the old? Or the,
yes, that's what I'm saying. When we first got in, it was still the old one.
I don't know where they let you guys off in the bus, but you had the option to go all the way around the city through traffic and come up this big wooden ramp they had. I don't know if they fixed it or not.
Still coming up the ramp.
Or you could be let off if you wanted to save time. You could be let off with a train, where everybody else is getting off. This is how we used to roll. No bodyguards, no nothing. You get off where the fans are coming in, and it was just one little elevator you could catch to go down to the floor level for players. But while you were standing there, they was coming off that train, and they would just be letting you have it, man. We used to walk from the Dallas reunion. I know I'm going off, but in Dallas at the reunion, the Hyatt was right across the street. So you could catch the early bus to go over, or you could walk over. We used to always just walk. Me, Magic, Kareem, and they got used to us walking about 2 football field lengths to the arena, to the point that they started having parties there. So as soon as we come out the door, they'd be they let you have it. No bodyguards, no nothing. We just walk across the street, wait for the lights. So that's the way we used to roll, man. But the Celtics had probably the most vicious fans, and it was a tough place to play. It was, you know, that arena looked great on TV, but it was pretty shitty on the inside.
How sick was it when y'all beat them for your first time? Like they had already, like you said, it was already a rivalry going on. When you got the championship over the first one, what was that like for you? The
only championship won in that building outside of the Celtics. We got one in there, and you know, we knew we were representing ourselves. But we also knew we were representing like a hurtful city. Mm-hmm. You know, Elgin Baylor.
History.
Jerry West.
Shout out Elgin Baylor, man.
Yeah.
That was our GM with the Clippers.
He drafted us.
He drafted us, and he never really was labeled the GM.
Yeah.
Unless it was bad stuff going on.
Exactly.
And like him and his wife, like I got the utmost respect for them.
Yeah.
Like no matter what was going on with all that, they were always the most kind and generous people to all of the players. Not just me and my family, but like I witnessed that with all of my teammates and everybody who was there throughout time. Elgin and his wife were 2 of the nicest individuals the entire time throughout. And even after I left and came back when he was still there and all that. So, you know, shout out to you know, God bless his dead, rest in peace, Elgin. But his wife was awesome and was there as well.
I'm glad you said that, man, because, you know, Elgin Baylor was, if you want to take a page or pages out of someone's book and put it to yours, he's that guy. Mm-hmm. Ultimate gentleman. Awesome. You know, his wife would cook meals and, you know, he would put an apron on and clean off the table and wash dishes and do all this stuff in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. Jerry West came to the Lakers in 60 when they was, 61. And it was Elgin Baylor who took Jerry under his wing and had him adapt to being around some brothers, you know what I mean, and brought him in. And but he was a great man.
Nah, he was awesome.
But I knew when we beat the Celtics that year, we were representing all those guys who never won. So it was pretty cool to be able to do that.
36, 16, and 10. You was MVP of an NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. Tell me what, like, that's the
busting ass out there now.
In the NBA. That's the highest level, the biggest stage, the biggest performance you could have, and you walked away with that, with both trophies. Like, tell me, how did that feel? Like, that's like, we the world champs, I'm the MVP. One could surmise that I'm kind of like the best player on the planet right now. Like, I would have walked away like that. I don't know about you, but like, how did you feel after that in '88? And that was after back-to-back finals too, because y'all won in '87.
Yeah, it was special, man. Like
that's top of the world.
I always thought coming to the Lakers, because when you're the number 1 draft pick, if I had gone to the Clippers, you know, I would have been the guy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But when you come to the Lakers, I always felt like, not that I had to prove that I could play, but I had to prove my value to a team that was already loaded. You know what I mean? And I was always that commodity that they could trade. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Every year we're like,
and rumors and shit.
We're going to Mark Aguirre. It's going to be this. So I always felt like I always got to prove till I proved it. You know what I mean? So I had a great year in '87. That was our best team ever, I think.
Right.
But Kareem was getting a little bit older, and he was still throwing it in '88, but he retired in '89. So I saw that he was slowing down a little bit. So 2 years prior to that, Pat Riley had a conversation with Magic and said, you need to step up your scoring a little bit. We're going to need you to score more. So Magic was MVP in '87. He was scoring more. Same thing happened to me. When Kareem was slowing down a little bit, I knew it was time. I was like, okay, so I got to be a little bit more aggressive. I know I can play, step it up. And you have to do that in the NBA. You got to step up or step out. And we were on the stage against the Pistons, and I said, I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but I knew mentally that, when you grinding it, ain't nobody going to touch you on a particular nights when you feeling it like that. And that was my night, It was Game 7.
That was your series.
Game 7, and I only got one triple-double only. That was it.
That's amazing.
And
That's special. In the biggest game ever.
It was special, man. Against Isaiah, I got him back for beat me in college.
Right.
He was sleepy. I got back from high school.
You got a lot of good.
Yeah, you never forget, man. You never forget.
What do it mean to you to be a Laker? Like you a part of history. Now you won the ultimate Lakers. Now these young cats that's coming and trying to put their purple and gold on, like you're one of the legends that they look up to, and they watch your career and set the bar and try to be like you. So what does it mean to be a Laker?
Well, I've only been a Laker. I've never played for anybody else, so that's all I know. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be like I talk to Robert Ory all the time. He's like, San Antonio. I'm like, oh, I thought you was a Laker. Like, I was also a Spur. So I'm I'm invested. That's all. So it feels good to be able to have accomplished something and it be remembered, and they still talk about it. Like before every Laker game, they got the big billboard. There's one play that I had against the Celtics where I dove on the sideline. They show it before every game. So these kids, who have no idea, they know that. So when you work for the Lakers, you guys work for perspective, youth foundations and stuff like that. You get connected, to the community. So I wear that with pride. Then I might walk up to somebody who's been a ticket season holder for 40 years, and they know my entire life.
Know everything. They
got every article. They remember everything, man.
Yeah.
So that's always special. Over time, you guys are getting that now. You're getting away from the game, and people come up to you and they'll tell you something. You'll be like, "Yeah, I remember that." Yeah. I became friends with like bell captains at certain hotels. I know Charlie and them by name. You know what I mean?
Does it ever amaze you or blow you away? Because like I don't know about I follow you on social media, so I see like you were just like in Italy or something.
Yeah.
It's like, does it ever blow you away that people walk up to you just hanging with your family and having a, chill time? You might not even have any Lakers stuff on, but people recognize you and they want to take pictures and they want to tell you about these memories or these moments or this. Like, does it ever like just ever blow you away? Like, yo, this is like, I'm one of those Lakers that is, I'm a staple. It never will, I'm part of Laker Nation all the way through and through.
It's global. I mean, the Lakers are obviously one of the bigger brands. Chicago did their thing. Miami came and won with, so there's certain brands that are just global. And the NBA is global. But it's really, kind of weird when you're like, in Italy in a small town, a Noto or somewhere, and you walking, and you're just chilling with your gelato. You know what I mean? You done have some wine and some cappuccino. You just you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Nobody know. And all of a sudden you'll walk by somebody and they'll be like, oh my God, it's James Worthy, blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like from
big game.
Yeah, they'll be from another country, from Israel, and like So it is cool, you know. NBA has grown, man, and it's a privilege to be a part of that fraternity. But it's also nice. I'm 61 now, and so it's kind of cool to be, you know, recognized, and that the NBA still, you know, sees you as a valuable asset, and as they do all their players. You know, we got the insurance now. You know, over time. So it's a great fraternity to be a part of, man. And I'm just happy that I can be an ambassador for the game.
How was the icing on the cake when you heard that you finna be a Hall of Famer? Like how was that for you? And you know, you get your own statue, you get this whole ceremony based around you and the other Hall of Fame inductees. Like, how was that experience for you and your family?
It's crazy, man. I did have my family there with me. It's kind of like, you know, it's like the bookend. You know, what else can you do after that? Yeah. You know, I got denied the first couple times. You just don't know with the Naismith Hall of Fame. But when you get it, it's like, you know, you think about. I always think about I want to be a good teammate. Mm-hmm. You know, that was my biggest thing. I want to be a good teammate. I want to love my teammates. I want us to be honest. So I think about all the relationships when you're standing at the podium. I think about, you know, I think about the coaches who will pull you to the side and say, look, you don't need to be hanging, you don't need to be smoking no weed, you need to be, you need to go to class. You think about those people in your life when you're standing at the Hall of Fame, because that embodies more than just the play. Obviously, you gotta have the play to go with it, but there's a lot of people that lifted you up and kept you straight when you could have gone different routes. So I think about those. That was what I thought about.
Yeah, I tell my kids all the time, like, man, it took a village for me to get here.
Yeah.
So many people helped me along the way, and I was like, man, embrace the people. It's a lot of people who love and care about you that want you to succeed. Yeah. So embrace it.
And when you get older, you can make decisions on your own. Yeah. Do what you want to do. I'm not trying to tell people what to do or what not to do. Yeah. But when you're 14, you're 15. You kind of
need that.
You kind of wild and trying to be liked, and you conform, and you kind of need somebody to pull you to the side and say, "Yo."
Hey, tell me this: like you was a person that really got to see MJ come into college, right? Then you left, and you got to go to the NBA, and you big dogging it, winning chips, winning this, and doing that. What was it to see the young freshman MJ coming to the league, bugging you, pestering you about one-on-ones, and then to see him, coming to college, then see him coming to the league and become Michael Air Jordan, a.k.a. his hairness, his airness, and all of that he's become. Like, what was it like to witness that? You know, it was like a meteoric rise. Like, what was it like for you who knew him already and, had some, sentiments about what he had going, but like, what was it like to see that whole just development of Michael Jordan?
Yeah, we called him Mike. When he first came, it was Mike, and then he evolved into Michael. And I knew he was going to be good. I knew he was going to be an all-star. I had already, played, against Clyde Drexler and, some other, top guards. I said, Michael's going to be good. Mm-hmm. I had no idea.
Right.
I really didn't. I only played, 4 months, 5-6 months of college with him.
Right.
And we'd play pickup games in the summertime, and he was still learning the game, man. He was kind of like a late bloomer. He was, once he got that science down and the theory, he didn't have to utilize all his energy.
Right.
And Coach Smith helped him with that. And then he got to Chicago, tried to do it all, hurt his foot, got delayed a little bit. Then he started to continue because he's always been like, his mind just won't stop.
Right.
And he figured it out. And I started to see, I was like, it was maybe like his 5th year. I was like, he's elevating. Like it wasn't no peak yet. I said, he's
steady rising.
Yeah, he's later than most.
Right.
I had mine in college and, came to the NBA and sustained it, but he was still elevating. And I was like, he is going to be multiple All-Stars, MVP. I started thinking MVP candidate, stuff like that, and he surpassed all of that.
When it came to the point, because I remember this vividly, I was sitting on my front room floor watching. When y'all played in the finals, what was it like experiencing that? To see, to know where he had come from, to see him, okay, now he's about to, conquer it and get to the top of the mountain. What was it like seeing that?
Well, I know Michael, and I know he's when he gets his mind set, he's committed. And we won game one.
Right.
We won the first game.
I remember.
Surprised everybody.
I literally cried.
Punched him in the mouth.
Real tears. I cried at home.
We limped in. I'm not saying the outcome would have been different if we'd have been healthy, but it would have been nice to have been healthier. Mm-hmm. Magic went down. Byron was hurt. I came in from the Portland series with a limpy ankle, but
I was grateful for it all.
But that's not why we lost. They were. I mean, Horace Grant. Pippen. They had BJ. They had Harper. They had guys.
That was like the year where we came, and I was like,
but I could tell Michael was thirsty, man. He was thirsty, and you don't want to see him when he's real thirsty. And because Detroit had just killed him for 5-6 years. They had Jordan rules, and it was just hard. But once he got past them, and then he's getting a chance to play the Lakers,
right, and get your first
and
one
against
that
Magic
franchise.
I was like, he don't need no more extra motivation. But they were successful. And, but they had a really good group of players. Michael was obviously the head of that snake, but they really had, Paxson.
They were awesome.
They were good.
Start bench trade. You got to trade person, you got to start one, you got to bench one. Iceman, Dr. J, Larry Bird.
Who do I bench?
Who do you start? Who do you bench? Who do you trade?
Who do I start? Who do I bench?
And who do you trade?
And who do I trade? Man, that is a tough one right there,
It's
bro.
one of the toughest ones he's ever done.
Okay, so Iceman is buckets anywhere on the floor.
Nice.
I told you I had one of my best defensive games ever against Iceman. And the assistant coach, Bill Burker, came up to me and he's like, best defense ever against Ice. I've never seen anybody play defense against Ice like you did. You got through every pick. Your hand was in his face. You were physical with him. You did everything.
How many you get?
And I looked at Coach. I said, Coach, he just dropped 47 on my ass. What you talking about? He said, don't worry about the points. He said, don't worry about the points. Just worry about the. I was like, all right. So I got to keep Ice, man.
Ice starting. Dr. J or Bird.
I grew up a Dr. J fan. Gliding through the air, ABA days, solid. But Larry Bird, I got to keep Larry because Doc didn't really have the outside shot.
Yeah.
He could get to the bucket. Ice could do it all from anywhere.
Yeah.
Larry could just flat out score and give you numbers and be talking shit.
That's what I'm about to add. I want one
at the same time.
I got to follow up to that. Like, was Larry really telling you what he was about to do to you before he did? I've heard so many different stories. What type of trash talk was y'all getting from Larry Bird?
With the Lakers, he wasn't at his top of his game, but like Atlanta and teams like that. But there were times where he would come out of a timeout. I remember this one time, you might have heard this before because he did it with a lot of people. I had to guard him. The player's coming, but he would tell you what's coming.
He told you to play.
With DJ handling, Mikhail's gonna set a pick for Robert, but Robert, that's only to free him up to come and set a pick for me. And he says, if you trail, I'm going to trail into the lane and shoot a little floater. And he said, if you fucking pop, he said, if you try to get over the top, he said, I'm going to pop to that corner and bust a jumper in your fucking face. I'm like, fuck you, man. I'm all up on him. I got his shirt tail. I'm holding it. I'm like, you know where I'm from. I'm from Gastonia. Man, we ain't talking. He ain't Sure enough, man. The ball comes in. DJ takes a couple of dribbles. I'm quick. I'm quick enough. I think I can get over the top. I get over the top. I get out there, but he pops to the corner and I'm running. He kind of waiting, waiting. He was an asshole. But I would have to keep him, and I had to keep Doc off the break. He was one of my favorite players growing up. But
running the lane. But
when you got a 3-point shooter, Larry Bird used to, at the All-Star game for a few years, he would go into the locker room and all the contestants would be over there.
3-point contest?
All the 3-point contestants would be sitting in there about to go out. And he would walk in. He did this for like 3 years in a row. And he was like, which one of y'all is coming in second? And then he would just walk out and win the damn thing. He was that good. I didn't like him, but he was that
That's
good.
When you walk off with that one finger up on your ass.
Crooked finger.
Before we get you up out of here, I would be remiss if we didn't ask you, because I kind of know the story. I want to hear you tell it to everybody else. Number 42. I got a cousin, wore that, Rico Hill. He wore 42 because Big Game James had the Sports Illustrated on the wall. Like, he was one of the reasons why I respected and loved your game like that. Why did you choose jersey number 42?
It was really weird. I wore number 52 my whole life.
Right.
And when I came to the Lakers, Jamal Wilkes was 52, and Silk. You can't even act Silk.
First original stretch.
Dog, you can't even. What was that movie? I can't think of his movie, but he was drinking orange sodas in a movie back in the day. But anyway, Cornbread Earl and Me. Check that out.
Okay,
Cornbread Earl and Me.
Lawrence Fishburne. Right. I'm a movie guy.
There you go. There you go.
Go do y'all research, young folks.
But anyway, Jamal had 52. So I was just talking to my dad one day. I hadn't arrived in LA yet. I was still in Chapel Hill. And I was like, well, Dad, 52 has come to an end. I think I'm going to get 40. 40, I don't know. I didn't care. I just I'll get something. 54. And my dad was a huge old Negro League baseball fan, and up until the Jackie Robinson days. And he just said, what about Jackie? And I was like, at the time, I didn't know he was talking about Jackie Robinson. And I was like, who's Jackie? I said, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, Jackie. Mm-hmm. Then it hit me, Jackie Robinson. And so I said, is 42 available? I called the manager. He said, yeah. So I got 42. And then it picked up. Why did I choose 42? And I started to tell the story. I started to get a little bit more respect because I knew the Jackie Robinson history. I knew how great he was and all the, the sacrifices he made. And so people thought it was cool that I wore it because of Jackie. Yeah. So I wore that with honor. Yeah.
That's definitely a salute, man. This is
man.
Epic, man. We got the OG.
We'll come back, man. It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. I should have wore some
goggles up in this piece, but you know what I'm saying? We got them in the building. We in LA, man. We appreciate you.
Hey, man, the pleasure's, man. Y'all keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep connecting, keep conversating, and bringing history from way back to now. And it's a nice blend. It really is.
We appreciate it, man.
Appreciate what y'all doing, man.
Definitely somebody who we grew up loving and learning the game from, and it's awesome for us to be.
Definitely the reason I used to run that flow.
Like, yo, Pops. I was sitting here with Big Game James today. You feel me? Like real talk. Like this is special, man. We appreciate y'all. Tap in.
Tell all your uncles and grandparents and everybody I said, yo.
Yeah.
We in the building.